it would perhaps make more sense for you to get a lot of inspiration from High Court practice by seeing how smart lawyers are able to mold arguments, mold facts, and come and argue, and they're the best of the best. Every High Court has the best of the best advocates, with fantastic interpretation of the law. You could never imagine another way of looking at the same problem.
People on social media know him as Better Call Amish. He's an advocate on record at the Supreme Court of India. He has also worked as the Central Government Counsel in the Supreme Court of India. In addition to his extensive litigation experience spanning over a decade at both High Court and Supreme Court levels, he actively engages on social media, creating valuable legal content for his fellow law professionals and public in general. He's Mr. Amish Aggarwala. Hello sir, and welcome to our podcast WhyLaw, powered by Bettering Results. And sir, it is absolutely an honor for us to have you on this podcast. And sir, I have been following you, a big fan. And sir, our audience is also looking forward to this podcast. I'm ready to ask you, sir, many questions. And sir, very, very excited to have you here on our podcast. So before we start, can you give us a brief introduction about your life, your summary, what you like?
Sure.
Right.
So first of all, thank you for having me here, Shivam. I'm very grateful for Betting the Results and you to come here and honor me with this interview. My name is Amish Aggarwala. I'm an advocate on record at the Supreme Court of India. I have been practicing law now for about 10 years and 4-5 months, something like that. And crazy journey. I've done my law school in Delhi. I've been practicing in Delhi, and practice of law is pretty much all I know, right. all that I can think of in life. Yeah.
So it is always said that becoming a lawyer is very easy, but the real journey starts after that. So sir, what's your say on this?
So I feel like it is a very accurate description compared to other places. Say for example the US and the UK, where we know that getting into law school is very difficult, it's far more competitive, there are far fewer seats in comparison to the general population, and also the qualifying exams are far more difficult. Say for example the bar exams for the states in the US and the solicitor and barrister exams and whatever qualifications, it's a long arduous process. So the best of the best are there, and if you're not very dedicated, if you're not the smartest of the lot, you will kind of fall through. In India, that's not really the case. I'm sure you also know of a lot of people who should not have become advocates, who did get enrolled at the bar. In fact, now ironically, I would say in the initial few years of my law school, it may be imposter syndrome, but I personally feel that I would count myself as one of those people who would not be the most eligible, right? Perhaps somewhere halfway in between, right? Because I was not very academically inclined, to be honest. My track record with say moot courts and other extracurricular activities wasn't that great either. I was pretty lost when it came to law school. But I would say then this is a redemption factor, a redeeming moment, where I believe the moment I jumped literally into the practice of law, litigation, the practice demanded that I sober up, that I mature as an adult at a 10x rate, and that I catch up with whatever lax attitudes I had. So it was very painful, very stressful, very overwhelming, but I'm very grateful that it happened. And I feel like Amish today, though he may not have picked up a law textbook in a long time, because he does not need to go through the whole foundational series of the CPC perhaps from end to end, but the kind of person that I became because of the demands of the practice while I was working as a junior to someone was so high that my aptitude grew by huge bounds in just a few months, and that helped me in becoming again a half decent lawyer.
Right, sir. Sir, I remember when I started practice, one of the most difficult aspects was to collect fees from your clients. Sir, according to you, what are the challenges that you have faced or you are still facing now, apart from what you have already stated before?
So I feel fees,
Yes.
right? Legal fees is not so much of a fees collection issue as it is perhaps a mindset issue, even a leads issue, right? If you have one client coming in through the doors or one potential client coming in through the doors, say in a month, it's going to be a problem, right? You are going to say, you know what, we'll start the work, it's okay. The client says, we'll haggle with you over the fees, and the client will say that yes, you will get your fees at XYZ time. We'll win the case, then I'll give you part of the fees, which is called champerty, which is also prohibited under the Bar Council rules. But if you've say got 20 people walking in through your door every single day, then all of a sudden, how to collect fees, how much fees to charge are secondary issues. Right? Okay. So the more you practice, the more potential clients you deal with, the better you get at the whole fees collection issue. For me personally, sure, when I started out, it was a huge issue. You would give discounts, you would do a lot of work for free, and you would even discuss cases for free. I would be so happy to have people coming in, sitting in my office. I'm justifying this office space that I have, and I would spend hours with them trying to not to close them as a client, just to satisfy them and to educate them, knowing that if I educate, say, perhaps 10 people to the best of my ability, one of them at least will sign up as a client, and that's what I thought this is what is supposed to be. Now things are a little different, right? Practice is caught up. I have a little bit of recognition among a few people who trust in me, who push my name as the preferred lawyer of choice. Now I can, set my own terms, right? A lot of times now when clients say, oh, I cannot afford X amount of fees, can you do it for say X minus 20%? I say I will be very happy to introduce you to other lawyers who will do it for 10% of what I charge. Right. And I would dare say that they are excellent lawyers themselves. But if you ask me to spend my time, effort, energy on this particular venture, I will have to command this amount. And of course, a lot of people walk away, and I'm okay with that. It's purely a mindset issue and also a logistical leads issue. The more potential clients you have, the easier it is for you to kind of deal with this situation.
So, sir, for advice for younger lawyers is that they should deal with the clients irrespective of the fee structure. They should be able to solve the matters. They should know what advice they are giving rather than running towards fees.
So, Shivam, actually, you are right. I did not say that, but this is something which is a natural conclusion, and which is fantastic that you were able to come to it. It is accurate. In the beginning, if someone says, how should I get clients? What should I do about fees? The best answer that I have come up with is that you should work for free till the time that you have no time to give to free clients. And then you say that I have no time, I have to charge you for the fees. Because we get very caught up in, oh, how much fees? And I get hated for saying this as well. I did it, but other people disagree with me. I am telling you, this is how I learned a lot and how I was able to get more clients. In the beginning time, sure, sometimes you get clients who are, paying clients. A lot of times, people say, "Bhai, do this for free." If you don't have anything else to do, it's better to do that, right? Rather than just sitting at home and saying, no, I will have to charge. In fact, I must say one client, I did not charge him anything, only because a very dear friend of mine told me that he feels a lot for this guy and he wants, justice for this man. I did that one case for free, not thinking anything I'll get some sort of recognition or some clientele or future fees or anything like that. But that one case got me so much of recognition on the internet, in the news, that I believe half my practice is right now built upon the victory in that one case where I did not charge any money, only because a friend asked me to do it for free. Right. For no other reason.
So it has opened the pathway.
Absolutely. So I say, in fact, as an extension to this, I say, if you're a young advocate and you're looking for a senior and you're not able to maybe get a job that you like, I say rather than haggling for 10,000 salary, 15, 20, 30,000 as salary, I say, God damn it, work for free. Now, this is something I get hit for a lot, right? People say, oh, you don't know basic salary. Anyways, what's that 10, 15,000 going to do for you? What is that 10, 15,000 going to do for you in that moment? Instead, and this is what I did, right? And I've talked about it on earlier occasions. There was a time when I left my, senior. I had a little bit of work of my own, but I still had a lot of time. What do? So I went to a college senior of mine who was just about 5 years senior to me. He was at that point of time also an advocate on record at the Supreme Court. And I had this, massive knowledge gap at the Supreme Court. This was back in 2017, right? Massive knowledge gap. And I told him, sir, again, the moment I said, sir, I want to join you as a junior. And I could see him tense up. Oh, God damn. Because his problem with all other lawyers, right? Especially lawyers with maybe 10, 15 years of practice, is that I don't know if I want to hire this person, what kind of salary to pay him or her. They may make tall claims, but how do I know whether they will follow through or not? I told him I don't want a single rupee from you. I have my own matters. I just want that in the evening I come to you. I will take drafting work from you. I will do your drafting work. All I want you to do is to correct the draft in front of me. And also when the matter is listed and you are arguing it before the court, let me know so that I can also be there. I was at that office for just about 4 months and I learned so much that I believe again, a huge, part of my clearing the AOR exam at a later date was because of him, right? And also a lot of clients that I again was able to convince to sign up with me I was able to do that only because of the fact that I had worked very intimately with the chamber of an AOR for just about 3 or 4 months in that time, and helped me tremendously. Again, वो 4 पैसे के लिए, that short-term gratification that, oh, you'd have to tell your friends, I am making 15,000 a month is 500 rupees a day. You're not covering your conveyance charges either. But at the same time, it's like,
having a long vision.
Yeah, absolutely. But, at the same time, you need to understand the constraints of the person in front of you, right? They have money to give, but they don't want to give it to someone who, pinches them every time that money comes out, right? There have been occasions where I've spoken with young advocates and they say, my senior did not even pay me, so horrifying. And I sympathize with them. But at the same time, now, while they're narrating this story, they're also telling me, I was unwell on this day, so I could not go. Then I had this other issue at my house, so I could not go. And then I had this issue, and I had this issue, and I had this issue. And when when Sir said that, this is to be done, so I said, what's the problem with this? And you've got all of this conflict going on. At the end of the month, you say, sir, where's my salary? You need to understand that, this is, I personally don't really believe in the whole concept of Guru Shishya thing where you're the Guru Dakshina or I don't believe in it, to be honest, right? But I do believe that, you have to kind of understand social interactions at play. You cannot be that immature kid who's, who is arguing with your senior and at the same time you ask for money, right? I'd like to think this kind of a thing does not happen with, with me at least, with me and my team members. But I've heard the story so many times from others and I can kind of sense why the senior is reluctant in paying, because I know that lawyers on one hand will be very scrappy when it comes to paying a junior 5,000 or 7,000 or conveyance, but at the same time they are also paying, perhaps a senior advocate 2 lakhs, from the client's money, of course, right? 2 lakhs or 1 lakh or 1.5 lakhs for whatever value that senior is bringing to the table. They also pay tremendous amounts of money to contractors, right? Contractor lawyers who are, say, perhaps, taking care of an entire drafting for him, right? Just today, just about 10 minutes back, one of my associates called me up and said that another law firm who themselves have team members, they reached out to us and they asked us to appear before a court and they raised invoices for us. Honestly, and there is plenty of money around. But if you think that you can be incompetent, right, and then expect, salary. In fact, let me say this over here as well. When people say, Bar Council should have a minimum standard for, for students, for young lawyers, there should be a stipend, guarantee stipend, and there should be payment, minimum, this thing should be done. What is going to happen? Say, for example, the Bar Council says, when you hire a junior, you must pay minimum 15,000 rupees. Right. What's going to happen? I am telling you, my senior Being my relative would not have hired me if there would have been a mandate you have to pay him 15,000 rupees. I started at 10,000. He would have said, boss, I am not going to pay you 15. Right? A lot of people who just need a little more grooming, just need a little more training, and then they can make not 10 or 15, they can make 50, they can make 70, they make 1 lakh. Right? They will also not be able to enter because the top of the top, who anyways are not getting paid 15, they are getting paid much more. They will be able to get that job. Right? What's going to happen if you keep these minimum wages in the advocate fraternity is that there's just going to be more consolidation. The senior is going to say, let's hire one terrific fellow for 30 or 40 or 50,000 and let's make him do 2 people's job. And they'll be happy because the workaholic is a workaholic and they're happy to work that much and make that money. But someone who maybe perhaps for whatever reasons in law school was not able to intern a lot, who maybe went to a bad law school, did not get the opportunity. Now that same person is cribbing on LinkedIn. Oh, what about my minimum stipend, minimum expenses? And that same person will now not get a job at all, will not even get an opportunity to learn enough to be able to command any fees at all. Right. What do you do then? This is something that, I guess I went a little off topic also, but this is something that is a big question mark that needs to be addressed. Right. My personal funda is be so competent, and this is what I have told other people as well, right? Negotiation not just doesn't happen with the client and advocate, it happens with senior junior as well. Right? Be so good that your senior will hyperventilate and say, bhai, I need you, right? I can't do without you. And if you are not there, my practice will collapse. And then you ask, muh mangi rakam for your services. And until then, just shut the hell up for 6 months, right? That's what I personally feel.
So talking about the voluntary work and enhancing your learning skills, I have heard from many seniors and my colleagues that whatever you learn in your internships, you can learn the same thing after completing law within a month or so. So sir, according to you, what is the role of these internships that we do in colleges?
I disagree, Shivam, with what's been said. I feel 5 years, when you have got 5-year law and 3 years, are an incredible opportunity, incredible, large amounts of time. It is nonsense that, of course, see, there is context, right? I also learned a lot in my first few months of practice compared to say maybe my internship months. But let me tell you, I was one of the biggest lackers when it came to internships. If I took them seriously, the way some of my law student interns take this internship seriously, it would have been much more better for me, right? I also feel that internships are a fantastic tool to jump from institution to institution, right? You've got advocates, you've got law firms, you've got companies, you've got, if you're interested, NGOs and perhaps, public welfare space, you've got government institutions, you've got summer internships, you've got, abroad, you've got a million things to do. But it's not so easy once you have graduated. Even law firms for that matter, the top of the top, the trilegals, AZBs, SAMCAMs, they are happy to take you in as an intern. Obviously you have to, put in a reference or multiple emails. But as an advocate, it's very difficult because they understand that your expectation is, I'll go there for 1 or 2 months, they'll try me and then they'll offer me a job which pays me XYZ amount of money every month. But it doesn't happen like that. You have to create a strong foundation for yourself by doing good internships in varying different places. And also, I've said this on earlier occasions, if you say that, I want to be a litigator, then it's even more important for you to go and intern at firms, to intern at companies, to intern, say maybe, get internships with judges, try everything else compared with litigation, so that when you're done with all of that and then you do a litigation internship or two, for 100% certainty that this is what I want to do with my life.
They can also identify their interest.
Absolutely. Right. If you don't have an interest, you run around, you figure out what you want.
So there is a misconception that after completing law, one only practices in court. So sir, can you tell us different pathways one can choose after completing their law?
My best example is my friend who went to Amarchand Mangaldas Suresh Shroff and Company before the breakup, and 1 year later quit to become a movie director. Right. So in terms of avenues, after doing law, you can do anything under the sun. A law degree is a fantastic tool to help you out with life in general, especially in a country like India, where you have to deal with a lot of difficult elements at all stages of life. Having said that, in terms of law-specific careers, I've seen judges, I've seen law clerks, I've seen advocates, of course, law firms, law firm jobs, law firm partners, legal officers in companies, compliance officers in companies, politicians, politics, political strategists. Right. There's a whole host of things, right? And law degree is a great tool, teaches you analytical abilities, abilities of persuasion, understanding the law of the land. You can go in anything, right? I know an advocate friend who practiced for a couple of years and then used that as a foundation to get entry into a management MBA course, an MBA, and that too abroad, and now he's well settled in a company job, and he's again used those abilities, those skills that he learnt in private individual practice. So the world's your oyster. You can go do whatever you want.
So most people in the legal industry are well aware about your YouTube channel and Instagram page, having 4.5 lakh subscribers on YouTube and more than 1.5 lakhs on Instagram. Okay. So sir, how did the idea of these two come up?
I was always camera shy. I was always an introvert in general. So, and there's always massive resistance. I keep telling all my friends, you should talk about the work that you're doing. If for no other reason, just to compress your own thoughts and to put it as a pen to paper kind of a thing. Instead of maybe authoring a biography, you can just create mini biographies by talking about what you're doing. I finally started in 2019. So randomly, one burst of inspiration, one discussion with a friend, I started recording a video. I even forgot to turn off the fan. So the first video, and then the most important thing is you record it and then you have to put it online also. A lot of people I know, they record. I have lawyer friends who, upon my convincing them, have recorded fantastic pieces of content talking about some incredible work that they are doing, and yet they do not upload it because they think just need to make it a little better. Maybe the voice can be better, the lighting can be better, this can be better, that can be better. हम अपना भैया पीछे कुत्ते भौंक रहे हैं, the lighting's off, low battery, the audio is not right, whatever it is, just upload. Whoever's going to watch it today, 200, 500, 5 people are going to watch it. Tomorrow there will be more people, and tomorrow you will be a better storyteller as well. So it's all about just focusing on that. I made 1 or 2 videos and I found them to be incredible. Why? Because earlier, I have cousins, right? I have this one cousin who works in a media company, and I have judges who are cousins. I have other relatives who are in the legal field, right? Army office, JAG officers, but they've referred work. But the most incredible thing is one cousin in a media company keeps going, talking, so high of me every single time since day one of my legal practice. This is the guy, he's the one that you should go for. He's a fantastic lawyer. Earlier, he used to say, fantastic lawyer, call him up. And ever since I made that first or second video, he would say to everybody that he knows, his friends, his family, his colleagues, fantastic lawyer, watch his video. And they watch this video, and just one video, they will, like my cousin sends, right, the YouTube link. And suddenly this guy says, okay, I have this problem, and this guy is talking about the same exact issue or something around it. Why would I not go for this guy? And I felt that this is such an incredible tool, right? And there have been so many occasions where someone comes and says, I need a legal opinion on this thing, and I have this, and they have this misconception, and I just throw them a video and I say, watch this 10-minute video while I come, drink a glass of water. And this exact misconception that you have, I've made a video about. And so it's a fantastic tool for establishing yourself as an authority, but more than anything else, I think, for 2 reasons. One is to compress my own thoughts and put them into a particular format. I feel I have also changed, right? I have, I've gone through so many more experiences in life. I go through my own videos that I made, say maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm like, I did this also, we did this also, this was the law, and it's a great reminder. It's kind of a journal for me as well. But more importantly, I think the biggest thing that it has done for me is that it has, making videos and having an online presence is the love and the validation that I have gotten from the legal fraternity itself, right? I've been able to establish myself in the eyes of my brothers and sisters in law, right? I've been able to establish myself as an authority to a certain extent, and it is phenomenal. I've been able to connect with people. It's, They joke about, I've heard this, that they joke about Ivy League colleges and universities abroad. If you get a degree from, say, a Harvard, you don't need to ever spend a day in a hotel room because you'll have friends all over the world. I've personally traveled to so many, forget cities, I've traveled to other countries, and I've had Indians come up to me and say, brother, I watch your stuff. Right?
So sir, wasn't it difficult for you to manage your professional life and your social media life?
People say, Shivam, how do you manage professional work with social media? How do you find the time to post content? I say, how do you not find the time? Because I am just condensing my entire work day or work week, sometimes work month. All that I've done in a month, I've been able to compress it in, say, 5 or 10 minutes. I've had so many occasions where I've spent an hour discussing a situation with a client or a potential client or a team member or a fellow advocate, and something comes up which has come up 1,000 times on earlier occasions. In fact, let me say this, there have been a lot of times I've had people consult me for the same situation, and I find myself repeating my exact words for 60 minutes right now, and then a couple of minutes later I get on another call and I'm repeating the same script again. It's like I am a theatre artist performing the same theatre play day after day, hour after hour, and I just condense it into a long format, video, say, perhaps, and then I tell somebody who says, okay, I have XYZ issue, I tell them, watch this 1 hour video first. 80% of your FAQs already wrapped up, and then we can get into your 20% this thing. So having, posting on the internet, be it as videos, be it text, people do podcasts, not really my style, but having this is essential. How do you not have a system? In fact, at this stage right now, I am contemplating, because we are a growing chamber, right? We have 15 advocates right now. I am contemplating making videos on systems and processes that every associate must follow. Right? Forget about putting it out for the world. I am thinking about creating internal systems and processes that the team members should follow. So once anybody comes and joins us as a junior, because we have to teach the same thing again and again.
So they can watch the videos.
Watch the video, understand how we deal with things, and then you kind of join the team. To that extent, I love these systems and these processes. In fact, I have been trying to create a long list of standard operating procedures, SOPs that companies have. I've been trying to create it for the firm. I know other law firms have done it. I've seen a couple of those, and I'm trying to model it on my own, for my own convenience and for the chamber's setup. I say, how do you not do it? Of course, you can do the same thing again and again and have a Groundhog Day kind of a situation where everything is being done and it's all similar. I say, create one piece of content that you can, someone says, I have X question. Yellow bhai, watch this video. Far more convenient for me. I put in the effort just one time. And also the fact that when I condense my thoughts, I feel I am able to make my argument crisper. I am able to make my submissions before the judge tighter. I'm able to, frame my thoughts in a much more concise, much better way compared to if I'm just, हाँ भाई उधर उसमें 711 हुई, उसमें ये हुआ, उसमें 482 हुई, उसमें much better way this way.
So sir, according to you, the legal professionals and the law students, they should try to make videos so that they can enhance their learning capacity. What should be done?
I say it is imperative as a professional, no matter if you are an advocate or working in a firm or working in a company or you're in public service or government service, whatever it is. If you're not on the internet talking about what you are doing, you are missing out on huge opportunities. Now, I'm not saying you should make videos. Again, I say photo, video, audio, whatever works. Even text for that matter works. Whatever you can do. If you're not talking about what you're doing, what the hell are you doing? And this is not something which is new. I have read interviews of very old and the best senior advocates. They did the same thing that I am doing. They have authored books. I remember reading an interview of Mr. Arvind Datar. I read this interview about, say, 7 or 8 years ago, in which he mentioned that around 20 years ago he wrote a commentary on, I believe, indirect taxes. I'm not 100% sure. And he mentioned that I took out the time, obviously, the same thing. How do you find the time, man? He found the time And he mentioned that the year after I published my book on this particular field, I believe it was indirect taxes, he said his practice grew double the next year itself. And again, this shows it is imperative you must be taught. And I say, if you're really old fashioned, perhaps find a newspaper who wants to have you write in their newspaper column. Go there and write for magazines, write for something, but at least have that creative outlet as a professional there for you to be able to talk about what work you're doing. There is the professional benefit, there's the personal satisfaction, the growth that you see. I went from 1,000 subscribers. It took me a year to get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and then at this stage now I think I get about 1,000 subscribers in perhaps a week's time. It took me a year, and then from now it's taking me 1 week. And honestly, number of subscribers, followers doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I was happy when people who like my work, who wanted to say talk about me in front, and they say that this is a good lawyer, and they send one of my videos to somebody else. For me, that's brilliant. That's the most beautiful thing about talking about the work. So मेरा ट्वीट या मेरी वीडियो या मेरा पॉडकास्ट अगर किसी और को भेजा है, किसी ने जिसने कहा कि हाँ भाई देखो, this was good, this made sense, this was helpful.
One should not be out of sight, out of mind.
See, now that's something that I have mixed thoughts on.
Right.
Out of sight, out of mind, when someone says so it's that you become a monkey who is posting for the heck of posting. I would not suggest that also. I say the moment you have a creative spurt, you have something inside of you, you've got thoughts brimming. Yesterday, I got up in the morning and thoughts were ruminating in my mind about a discussion that I had with the client the night prior.
Right.
I got up, I switched on the light, and I started recording this video, and I created a 11-minute long video. And I'm so humbled. There were dozens of comments by people saying this felt so heartfelt, a heartfelt made video, and that they could connect with what I was and resonate with what I was saying. The most beautiful thing ever. है. मैं देख रहा था उस पे there is 350 hours of watch time. Some 5,000 people have watched it in 24 hours, and my mind's blown. Who gets audience of 5,000 people to talk about whatever they're thinking? It is my privilege. It's so much gratitude. 5,000 people would fill up like a stadium full of people who are listening to what I'm saying, and then who are mentioning about what their thoughts are. Some of them in agreement, some of them in disagreement, but it's phenomenal.
Sir, I am about to pose one of the frequently asked questions, that where you should start your practice from, the district courts or the high court.
So I've talked about it in a video or two on many occasions prior. I believe my opinion on this is, see, there are both pros and cons. District court, you get the ground running. You get to fight matters at the trial stage. You've got a lot to learn. High court, you've got a different style of learning. I personally believe that in your internships and in the first, say, maybe 1 or 2 years of your practice, it would perhaps make more sense for you to get a lot of inspiration from high court practice by seeing how smart lawyers are able to mold arguments, mold facts, and come and argue, and they're the best of the best. Every high court has the best of the best advocates, with fantastic interpretation of the law. You could never imagine another way of looking at the same problem. I think you get a little perspective the first couple of years, maybe 1 or 2 or 5 years, and then you go back to trial practice. Because one major problem that I see with trial court practice when you begin with it is that you start and you understand the street smart, tricks of the trade, the trial advocacy, but you also start getting work as well for trial court. And once you do that, you're kind of stuck over there, and it's very difficult for you to transition from trial court to high court. But it's very easy to, the moment you leave your high court senior, you can jump to trial court, and then you can start working also, you can learn. And when you get the work, you now do not need to leave the trial court work that you're getting just because you've got to go to the high court, right? You can manage everything. This is something that happened with me just by chance. I did not really kind of deliberately go for it, but I'm very, very glad that I did a lot of High Court work for a senior who had both High Court and District Court matters. But I was marked to the High Court on most occasions. I did a lot of work at the High Court. I learned some incredible skills from watching other people, not by doing it myself, I must confess. I learned from others, the behemoths who I used to see arguing in other matters and who used to stand against me and would beat me up verbally. And I took all of that learning, and then when I kind of switched over with my own practice, and obviously in the beginning you get trial court work, I was able to, it was a little bit of a learning curve to catch up with trial court work also, but once I did, I was able to manage both district courts and the High Court. So I believe that's the best way to go.
Sir, the courts we see in television or the web series, they are altogether different as compared to the real life courts. And sir, do you believe that this is the reason that most of the people choose law because they are influenced by the web series? Everyone wants to be Harvey Specter from Suits. So
I honestly don't think so. I think people are very smart. They're not idiots. They are able to make an informed decision. They are able to talk to counselors. Hopefully they do. They have lawyers who are relatives, lawyers maybe as friends. They take up counseling and they're able to get a fair idea about the system. And obviously the notion that earlier used to exist that you do law if you are not able to do anything else, that's faded away. Also partly because of the meteoric rise in law school academic fees. So you have to make a very informed decision and you have to stick through it. The curriculum is also much more strict now. It's more difficult to pass exams. I personally know a bunch of people in my law school who failed and who did take 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 years more to pass the 5-year law. So because of these reasons, people take things more seriously, and I believe that they make an informed decision. A lot of them say, I want to become an advocate. I understand that the first few years it's a little difficult to sustain yourself financially, and sometimes they say, I want to be a corporate lawyer, and I know that initially the money is going to be good. A lot of people say, I want to become a judge, right? I want to become a civil servant, and I know that a law degree is going to help me in becoming a civil servant. I believe people make an informed decision. They were not as naive as me to not really take up this thing. I mean, sure, there are a few people here and there who don't really think things through, but that's the case for all walks of life, not just law and, someone thinking, I want to be like Harvey Specter or some legal TV show character. I mean, most of the times, people make informed decisions.
Sir, defense counsel and a public prosecutor, they both work in different directions. You have experience of both. So, sir, which was more challenging?
I think both are equally challenging, but in their own ways. As a public prosecutor, the pressure for a specific outcome is far lower compared to being a defense counsel. On the other hand, a public prosecutor, whatever less stress they have on the outcome of a particular matter, it is kind of compensated with the sheer volume of the workload which is there. So as a junior to a prosecutor, I used to the prosecutor had around till date has around anywhere between minimum 20 to 40 matters every single day. And of course there are juniors to help, but a lot of the responsibility shouldered by the prosecutor himself. It is very difficult to manage, and obviously a little bit of sacrifice is made, 5-10% sacrifice is made in terms of preparation of cases, but overall the volume is such that the department is also happy with him, and that was our philosophy as well. Now, I did not have as much of a pressure, I did not have the client expectations to deal with. Officers also understand the court has to do what it has to do, right? We put in our best foot forward. But individual clients, when they are accused persons, say for example, or they are complainants also in private matters, they don't understand the meaning of judge did their job or was the judge right or wrong. Right. They don't care if the judge is right or wrong. They only want one thing, which is result, the relief. So in that sense, I say that the level of challenge is exactly the same, but different kind. I mean, having one very difficult case on which a lot of stakes are there versus you've got 50 cases, but you need to be there, you need to appear, you need to try your best. So equally both very stressful.
So there is a misconception that one should not take criminal practice since there is a threat to life. Does this statement hold water?
Misconception. Everybody knows there is no bigger gunda than a vakil himself.
Right.
So for you to say, oh, criminal law practice, the chances of you getting attacked or you facing some repercussion is very, very low, akin to what are your chances of dying in a plane crash. Right? However, I must say that yes, there is a lot of tension, but that's not there only in criminal law. It's the same in civil also, and it's any aspect of advocacy. Things can get heated. Delhi, unfortunately, has seen a couple of shootouts, gang members, etc. And there was a very unfortunate, very tragic bomb blast that had taken place when I was, I believe, a law student back in, I think, 2008 or 9 or 10, something like that. So you can't say that we are completely impervious, but I say that that level of hazard is there in anything in life, not just the practice of law. There would be a far higher chance of you getting attacked by a fellow advocate in a moment of anger than by, say, an accused person or some gunda or some terrorist. And if you are, say, perhaps in a sensitive issue, right, say, prosecutor in a terrorist case, the government does provide you with adequate security as well. Of course, I must say there are very unfortunate incidents, say maybe once in a year or once in 2 years, but that's there with everything in life. Right? This is no exception.
So please tell us about your role at Central Government Counsel. How was the pressure while handling the cases on daily basis, the high profile cases? So how did you manage all of those cases?
So I got on the panel of the central government at the Supreme Court, I believe in the year 2017. And very interesting phase of my life, very challenging also. So the way the central government takes care of its litigation at the Supreme Court is they have a central agency section. So it's not that, say for example, the income tax department has its own panel of lawyers and they will go to the Supreme Court and say maybe some other government department will have another this thing. They have a consolidated organization called the Central Agency Section at the Supreme Court. They have their own office, a very large one at that, which takes up a lot of space at the Supreme Court court complex. And every government department of the central government sends its matters to the Central Agency Section, which then has a panel of about, I believe, somewhere about 100 to 120 lawyers who all take care of these matters for every such government agency in a consolidated way before the Supreme Court. Now you can imagine that it makes things slightly easier also in certain ways, but also a little complicated. So you've got the Central Agency Section marking matters to the Attorney General, the Solicitor General, Additional Solicitor Generals, and also the panel counsels who are there. It was nice, but it was challenging in the sense that it was a little haphazard on a lot of occasions. The matter is listed for, say, tomorrow. Today at 5 o'clock, I'll get a call from the Central Agency Section saying, sir, a matter has been marked to you. So please come and collect the file. So I collect the file, and then it's not just me going to argue the matter. Usually there is another senior panel lawyer with several more years of experience who is also there, who will also, who has to be briefed. And there will also be, to lead arguments, most of the times, an additional Solicitor General who also has to be briefed. Now, the last moment when a matter is listed for tomorrow, we have to go and brief the senior panel lawyer and then the additional Solicitor General, and then we have to, and it's not that I just show up at their house and say I'm going to brief, I will not wait for you. We are there, we are the junior lawyers, we have to be there for them. So, someone calls you at 8:30 in the morning, someone calls you at 9 p.m. at night. You have to pander to that to a certain extent. I did that for about a year, and then it got very difficult for me. And it was a great learning experience. I learned a ton about how the government works. But then at the end of the day, I kind of called it a day. And I started refusing mandates by the central agency, and then I did not ask for a renewal of my tenure either. I'm very glad that it was a part of my life. But around the same time that I said no, and kind of phased myself out of it, I also cleared the Advocate on Record exam, and then my practice kind of blossomed before the Supreme Court in that little different direction. So I'm grateful for the way things panned out.
So, sir, as you have mentioned about the Advocate on Record exam, so, sir, can you tell me something about it, and how important is it for law students and professionals in taking this exam?
So see, a lot of people have this misconception that if you are not an advocate on record at the Supreme Court, you cannot practice at the Supreme Court. That's not the case. There are about 3,000 advocates on record in total. Since the beginning of time, once you clear the exam, you're an AOR, unless your name is removed by the court. If you say become a senior advocate, or you become a judge, or for misconduct, you are asked to kind of step down. But I also practiced at the Supreme Court for several years before I became an AOR. You can assist AORs, you can have the AORs as the filing counsels, you can have the AORs do the filing in for your clients. And you can then appear before the court. You can also engage senior advocates, you can ask the AOR to appear as well. But having said that, if you are an AOR, I feel somewhere it does add a significant amount of credibility to your name, because in between, say, once you become an advocate after joining your State Bar Council, the one little distinction that you can have is being a senior advocate, but that does not happen for a minimum of 15 to 20 years after you become an advocate. What is a little hack in the middle? You've got the AOR exam, you've become an AOR anywhere from 5 to 10 years into practice, whatever, minimum you need about 6 years before you can call yourself an AOR, because 5 years you write the exam and then it takes about 9 months for the result to come out. 6.5 years it takes for you to kind of become an AOR. And you become an AOR, there are obviously responsibilities as well. People say, Amish bhai, do this filing. I say, boss, if you want me to file, I'll file it for free if it's a close friend, but I'll have to go through every single word of the SLP or this petition that you've prepared, because it's my name on the line. I cannot say to the court that some bakwas was written in the petition and that I did not go through it properly. So it is a big responsibility as well, but along with this responsibility, it's a little sweet cushion that you are recognized as an AOR and you're able to command that little extra bit of credibility. So very helpful, but it's obviously quite difficult to crack as well. From whatever I know, I'm not 100% sure, but I think about only 10 to 15% of people who attempt the exam every year are able to clear it. And they have very high standards. Senior advocates are there to check your paper. The top of the top are there to check your paper, and I find it very fascinating. How difficult is it for a senior advocate who gets paid lakhs by the hour, is taking out the time because he is requested by the AOR Association and by the Supreme Court to take out and do this duty to weed out the best of them, to and have the best and weed out the not so competent people. I myself, it was very difficult. I on the first attempt, I cleared 3 papers and I was not able to clear 1. And then it took me another attempt subsequently. Thank God I cleared it, because I know so many people who kind of slacked off the first or the second time, and then it becomes progressively more difficult to crack the exam. So, and you get a limited number of attempts also. I forget how many, but I think it's 5 if I'm not wrong. And after 5, I don't think you can even attempt again if I'm not wrong. I'm grateful, man.
So it is always said that change is the only constant, and so is our law. There are various judgments, those are overruled by the judges. There are legal developments every day. So how do you keep a record of these legal changes, and what advice you have for law professionals and students to keep a record on this?
I will say what was told to me by a very senior lawyer many, many years ago. He said, no matter how busy you are, no matter how stressed out, no matter how tired or fatigued you are, when you are wrapping up with your day, your nighttime reading should be a journal or some sort of a legal compendium of any sort of your choice. Now obviously he's old school, so he says pick up a journal. I say Bar and Bench, WhyLaw, Legally India, these are fantastic publications. You should go through them. But certain sense I feel that they also, I'm a big fan, but somewhere I feel they also pander a little to the more glamorized judgments, and they sometimes tend to not focus so much on things which are very important and relevant, but maybe may not be so glamorous. So there I feel you should still kind of try to keep up as much as possible. By one thing I love to do is maybe go on Manupatra or SEC and look at the latest judgments passed by the Supreme Court or by the Delhi High Court, which are courts where I practice the most. And I say, let's just go for most recent judgments. Right. And then I just kind of go through head notes. It doesn't take a lot of time. I don't need to read the entire thing. I'll read the head notes. I'll take perhaps 15-20 seconds to read every judgment. And so I'll just sit down. Sometimes I say, specific, field of law, right? A lot of times I love, divorce law. So I will put in the keywords, and then I'm looking at what are the latest laws on, say, maintenance, alimony, custody, divorce, and any other of these things, which have not even been reported by these big publications, but they'll show up here because the Supreme Court has passed the judgment and the search index is able to look it up for me. I'll sit and I'll go through them, and I like to stay updated that way, and I would like to think that I have a decent grasp on most days over my preferred subjects, and that's how I would recommend you do it as well. Legally India Bar Invents Live Law, fantastic. Also, take a search engine tool, a subject of your choice, put in the keywords, go for the most recent judgments of your favorite High Court and the Supreme Court, and just start going through the head notes. You'll stay up to date quite decently.
So, sir, this should be a practice that should be followed by especially 4th year or 5th year students as well?
अब देखो डिपेंड करता है. I'm an advocate. It is an essential for me. If you perhaps want to go into corporate law, something else might be more beneficial. If you want to get into some other practice area, maybe public service, maybe working for a corporation, you will have different interests. Go after your interest. If advocacy is an interest, this is definitely something that you should be doing.
Sir, AI holds immense significance for our future developments. So, sir, how do you feel that AI will help in legal practice, or it may wreak havoc for advocates in the coming years?
I'm sad to say that artificial intelligence will definitely bring in quite a few changes. That I'm sure of. To what extent and in what way, shape or form, I am yet to grasp my own head around it as well. In fact, if I'm not wrong, a couple of these search tools have now started looking at what kind of judgments are being passed by each judge.